All right, it's Kyle T. Mosley of the Black Sports Insiders. How you doing on this Wednesday? I hope everybody's doing well on Hump Day. And we're getting ready for the weekend, and I think it's going to be a great one. We have a lot to talk about. I'm here with Keisha Kelly, Kim Davis, and Wilton Jackson II. How you guys doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Kyle, I got to pick with you now. If you're going to give Wilton Jackson II, I'm going to need Keisha J. Kelly.
Let's start over. We're here with Kim Davis, Keisha J. Kelly, and Wilton Jackson II. Is that better, y'all?
Yep, that'll work.
That'll work.
All right. You know, Keisha is like that little sister that you just got.
I am. I give Kyle all the problems. The problem, right. Kyle.
Look, we got a great show tonight. We got two GOATs that we're going to talk to. We're going to talk to NFL legend as well as HBCU legend, Mr. Jerry Rice, as well as Calvin Murphy, who is a legend here in the Houston area as well as in the NBA for everything he's done. So we have a pretty active week that we're going to talk with those guys and see what's happening behind the scenes with them. But before we get into that, right now the WNBA is having their finals with the New York Liberty and Minnesota Lynx. They are tied at 1 each in the finals. And right now, what's the big storyline, Kim?
Well, I mean, you know, game one was amazing, right? the way that Minnesota came back and won that game. And then, of course, in game two, the Lynx was like, the New York Liberty's like, no, this is who we are. And so I think it's just, you know, a tale of two different teams and who's going to show up in game three. And Collier, I think, is somebody who's exciting. We all know about Breanna Stewart and what she can do. But I think some of the other supporting cast has been interesting. So the timing is great. It's great basketball. And it's also in the middle of something else really exciting happening with the WNBA, which looks like a new TV contract.
Oh, yeah. And we got to talk about that a little bit as well. Wilt, how do you feel about what's happening with the WNBA? The Stars are out in full force out there in New York, right?
They are. It's an interesting series. It's pretty much going how I would expect it. Two great teams in New York and Minnesota. Game one, the big storyline was Courtney Williams. If you don't know who she is, she's a dynamic guard, not scared of anybody, probably the smallest player on the court, but can ball out. And when she gets hot, she's hot. Leonie Fevish, another player for the Liberty that stepped up in their first game. She's been stepping up really big for the Liberty since she got put in the starting lineup. Initially, she was coming off the bench. So that's been a big person for New York. And then also in game two, in terms of for New York, Sabrina got going as well. Breanna Stewart, they, obviously what Kim said, they bounced back in game two. Right now, game three is on. The Lynx surprisingly came out with a harder punch than New York. And I thought that New York was going to probably have the harder punch. And considering they game in Minnesota, their game is in Minnesota. And right now, the Lynx lead 43-35. That's what I keep. If you see my eyes looking forward, that's what I'm watching. It's a good series. I think it's going to come down to each one of these games have come down to the final minutes of the fourth quarter. And whichever team is going to be able to defend well in those final minutes, and which player stands out, probably one of those that I just named. And I also forgot Betnijah Laney, somebody who was coming off of an injury. She had not a major knee injury, but she had some minor surgery on her right knee during the season. And it was kind of up in the air what she would continue to look like as the season went on. But like that game two on Sunday, she showed out.
Well, what I like about it is not only what we would say some star power, but it's a very contentious series. You didn't want to have blowouts either way. And after the Liberty dispatched of the two-time champions, the Aces, right now, to have this series go 1-1 when the Lynx stole that game one in New York, man, kind of threw everything out of kilter for the Liberty, but it's good to see what's happening. Let's move on to the WNBA's first team, all WNBA announcements. Keisha, any surprises there from what you saw on those starting five?
No, none for me. I'm never really too much surprised, and I'm kind of. Let me just keep it at no. Let me just keep it at no. Just keep it at no.
Okay.
No, let me just keep it at
Speak
no.
your
No
mind, speak
surprises
your
for me.
mind.
No surprises for me.
Okay. All right. We had Miss Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Caitlin Clark made it. And that's a lot of people were like, should she have been on there? But she had a pretty good season, right, Kim?
Yeah, I mean, you got to give her credit, especially after they came back from the break, and she got a chance to get a little bit of a rest. What she was able to help her team do that had they'd not been able to do previously. So, I don't have a problem with it. I'm with Keisha. I'm okay with with the honors that the people they have on the first and second team.
Yeah. And had Elisa Thomas. She is one of the ones who wrapped up that first team as well. Going into the second team, some people were saying that they should have seen Angel on there. Wilton, are they right, or did they get it right with this second team?
I think they got it right with the second team. I think if Angel would have played the rest of the season in the trajectory of where she was going, I definitely could have saw a potential space of where she could have been added to that second team. But granted, obviously injury played a part in her not being able to finish the season. So I think it pans out to where she wasn't put on the second team. So I'm not necessarily mad about that. But you're talking about an emerging star, somebody who's going to be a star in this league as long as they continue to stay healthy and continue to, as long as she continues to extend her game, she's going to be fine. Only thing I would say differently on second team for me, I know how it panned out. Obviously, I probably would have maybe switched Sabrina Ionescu for Caitlin Clark. That's just me.
Really?
But for the most part, I'm good with it.
So you believe that Sabrina should have been first team?
She could have been first team, yes, for me.
Okay. All right. Cool. Now, let's talk about another happening with the Women Leaders in Sports National Convention that happened in Ohio. They had their 2024 honorees, and Wilton and Keisha, you know one of the honorees pretty well. That's former Florida A&M athletic director as well as vice president Tiffany Dawn Sykes. She was voted as I believe it was the FCS Division I Executive of the Year. How do you guys feel about her with this honor?
So for me, of course, it's always about the sisterhood for women in sports.
Right.
Of course, it's always a reach out. So whenever something happens good for women, I always reach out to those people, and it's people like her, Jennifer Lynn Williams. It's different people that's in the space that I really admire, that I talk to. And so when you see something like that, I said it. She didn't miss a beat. So we knew that the bounce back was just going to be like, oh, you just get up and go. But to see that happening and to see the celebration around her and so many people showing her love, it was well deserved. It was just a good thing for her.
Yeah, she was looking fly too, man.
With all her rings on.
Yeah.
Did you see that picture?
Tiffany was gone. Had it going on, man. Well, it was good to see, because I heard a lot of criticism. They had some negativity. Oh, she shouldn't have worn all those rings from Florida A&M. She didn't win them all. I'm like, well, she was the athletic director.
Correct.
It doesn't matter whether or not she hired the coaches before, long as she was there while the winning took place. That's all that matters, right? And congratulations to her. I think she has done an outstanding job. And I know she's at the University of Maryland at this time. So kudos to you, Tiffany Dawn Sykes. And Kim, I got to talk to you about this one. This is a personal one for you and I. A friend of ours has another Emmy nomination, a couple of Emmy nominations that is going out there with the New Orleans Saints and New Orleans Pelicans. Shanika Dabney Henderson, who's the vice president of production for those organizations. How do you feel about what's happening again? She already has 2 on the board from last season, might pull 2 more.
So I am always excited when I see something good happening for Shanika. We worked together when I was the sports anchor at GNO in New Orleans back in the day. She was a producer. She was amazing.
Back in the day, huh?
Back in the day. She was she's always been very talented, a great storyteller, really always, like to worked at perfecting her craft. So, congratulations to her, and I hope she gets them. It's exciting. I love Shanika.
Yeah. She always has to rub it in my face every time my cousin and her get together. They're on the Superdome floor for a women's national convention there, and they're taking pictures, and it's without me. It's like, wish you can be here. Come on, please.
Of course.
Yeah, right. But it's really good to see some of the ladies that are really should be noted for their accomplishments and doing such a fantastic job across all levels of sports. And, her rise from the days, like you said, in New Orleans through CNN all the way to the NFL Network, and what she did there was just fantastic with, especially with Coach Prime and what was his thing, Corner of Prime and whatever. You remember that one?
I don't remember. I don't remember what it was called. I know she did a few shows. She did a morning show. She did that one. I mean, she's had her hand in quite a few of the successful shows from that network. So
yeah, that's what I was saying. Coach Prime owes a lot to Shanika and whatever she was able to help develop him as well as his media presence at that time. All right, guys, let's talk about what's going to happen. I had a great conversation with Jerry Rice. And we know the HBCU legend, he is doing a great job right now with his Goat Fuel product. It's an energy drink that has been developed and has been produced out there for the past, I believe, 3 years now. And we're going to have a further conversation with him to talk a little bit more in depth about that later. But he was also with us to announce the NFL FedEx Air as well as the ground players of the week that has some changes to it. Well, they're not going to just do the quarterbacks as well as the running backs. They're going to give some love to the tight ends as well as the wide receivers. What do you think about that?
I think it's good. I mean, so often, every time, we always put a lot of emphasis on, obviously the skilled players like the quarterbacks and running backs and wide receivers as you listed, but there's so many other positions obviously on the field. That's 11 players, and in a football team, in a football game, it takes all players to do their jobs to win the game. So why not give them that exposure and that recognition that they duly deserve as well?
Yeah. And he said, that's the only honor I hadn't got. I said, Jerry, you need another one, please.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I love talking to Jerry, and we will hear from him in 2 and 2. Thank you, guys. And don't forget, if you guys are following us on Black Sports Insiders, please share. Sharing is caring. And we're growing at this time, so we love everything that we're doing. We want to hear from you, and as well as you can give us some of the love as well. All right? We'll be back after these messages.
This is it. Our last night sharing a room. Tomorrow we'll be in our new home.
They told you buying a home would take years, but didn't help you start. Still, you kept trying.
You'll have a yard to play in, a place to dream.
Hope makes it happen. With tailored mortgage solutions, Hope Credit Union makes homeownership happen for thousands of people, regardless of income or credit. Brighter futures begin with Hope.
Is that your new Nissan Rogue?
Yeah, crazy story. So this morning, I'm at the Nissan Thrill of Summer sales event, taking a test drive. When Dave, the sales guy, is like, "You're gonna love this." He shows me the best-in-class fuel economy and lets me know it's recommended by Consumer Reports. When Dave says, "These cars are going fast," I knew I had to have that Rogue.
Nissan offers 6 vehicles starting under $30,000, like Rogue, with 2.9% financing for 60 months.
Hey, sweet new gear. It's like Best Buy hooked you guys up.
Pretty sick, right?
What is that?
That's our traveling trophy. Oh, that's what's up, man.
Ah, a goat for the goats. Fits these pro-level setups.
Last year's trophy.
Not a goat.
Nope.
What if you could get all the latest and greatest gaming gear from one place? Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit. Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio. That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
Come to McDonald's and treat yourself to the Grandma McFlurry today.
Wow. McFlurries are back. I love McFlurries. All right.
What?
Guys. All right. Let's join the conversation between Jerry Rice and myself earlier today.
Writing it down. All right.
Jerry Rice. How you doing, Jerry?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me, man. Let's go, FedEx. Let's do this.
Definitely. Look, NFL fans can vote every week on the FedEx Air and Ground NFL Players of the Week awards. They can go on X or they can go on NFL.com or use the NFL mobile app all season long. Jerry, I understand there's a few changes to the FedEx Air and Ground NFL Players of the Week awards. Can you explain?
Well, man, wide receivers, we back in it. It's about time, man. I'm serious. Wide receivers and tight ends, and it always been quarterbacks and running backs. So now we back in the mix, and this is the one wide receiver award I missed out on.
Really?
The one. All right, and like you said, you can go to NFL.com/FedEx, but man, I would have loved to have been a part of this, because we got to get wide receivers back in the mix. We got to get those guys going again. And, you can vote, the fans, they can vote every Monday through Wednesday. I think we have Jordan Love, Caleb Williams on this one. Couple more guys, Sean Tucker, Joe Mixon. It's just Jared Goff.
Wow.
All of them, but where are the wide receivers? We're important. We are just as important as the quarterback, because I always try to think of myself as being an extension of the quarterback. The quarterback is going to release the ball. The receiver got to make the catch, and the receiver can run it to the end zone, or but the most important thing is to make that reception.
Yeah. Well, look, you did it better than anybody. You're the all-time receptions leader, yardage leader, and I can rattle off all of your accolades and honors and achievements. But most of all, one of the best achievements, in my opinion, is that you came from an HBCU, right? And you came from Mississippi Valley State. And now I understand FedEx and they are helping to support the HBCUs each week with this award.
Yeah, and which is good, because if you are a winner, you get a $2,000 donation. But I love what FedEx is doing overall, because they give $100,000 towards scholarships for students every year. And coming from an HBCU, man, it's just something I will never forget, and I still get excited when I talk about it, because I remember the Battle of the Bands and all of that stuff. And it was just like, man, it was so exciting filling up the stadium. And the game that we had against Alcorn in Jackson, Mississippi, I think it was over 70,000 people or more at that football game.
Yeah.
So, it's like, HBCUs, I'm very happy to carry on that torch, be a part of something that I'll never forget, and just being there at Mississippi Valley State University.
Yeah. Look, Jerry, you were a part of something special. You, Willie Totten, as well as your old former ball coach, Coach Cooley, who passed away this past April. Talk about his legacy and what he's been able to do for you in your life and put you at this spot even after football.
You know, God, my God. With Archie Cooley, Archie gave me the opportunity to do something really special at Mississippi Valley State. He was also like a father to me. He was this guy that wore this cowboy hat.
Yeah.
And
the old gunslinger.
The old gunslinger. But we knew that if he was on the football field or if we were on the road traveling or whatever, he was going to put you in a position to win.
Yeah.
That's all he wanted to do. But he wanted you to win, but he wanted to make men out of you. You know, and he wanted you to be able to go out in this world and represent it the right way. And I learned so much from him, you know, just being around him. And I think he was that key component that actually helped me to get drafted by the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay.
Because we were doing outstanding things at Mississippi Valley State University. We were putting up numbers like crazy. The awareness came there, and then the opportunity, you know, where I got drafted in the first round, 16th player taken by the greatest franchise ever, the San Francisco 49ers. I think it had a lot to do with Archie Cooley and also Mississippi Valley State University.
It definitely. You guys were averaging what, almost 50 points or more a game?
It was crazy. It was crazy. The ball was in the air like 90% of the time, and we were just putting up numbers like crazy, man. And I remember Willie the Satellite, Todd, and then you had Archie the gunslinger, Archie the gunslinger. Then you had they called me Jerry the World Rice. I'm like.
You were the world, and you still were the world.
We were having such a great time, though, man. And I think we you know, represented the HBCU the right way, and I was so proud to be able to go on and still till today, you know, when people think about me, they think about Mississippi Valley State University. HBCU, small school.
Right.
And I think it sent a message that you can't go to smaller schools like that and still move on, you know, get an education, move on. And if you pursuing sports or something like that, where you can excel.
Not only that, you know, Jerry, I remember 3 seasons ago, you and I had this conversation about Deion Sanders and what Coach Prime was doing at Jackson State University. But you also set the world on fire because they wanted to know, just like I asked the question, had you ever considered coaching? And you said at that time you kind of thought about it. And since then, we haven't heard much about if that's what you want to do. And there's a need to have guys like you. You know, you look at the NFL, former guys like Eddie Robinson Jr., Coach Chris Dishman, Bubba McDowell, Eddie George. All those guys are very successful with HBCU programs. Can we get you to
see, you always put that pressure on me, but you try to put that pressure on me. And,
I am.
You know what my answer is? I'm always going to support the HBCU. I'm always going to do that. But I poured 20 years or maybe 30 years of football into my life.
Yeah.
And it's just that I don't think I have that commitment to do that. Gotcha. Now, you know, if like guys like Deion, Eddie George, and stuff like that, I applaud those guys, and I'm always going to be supportive and stuff like that. But I think I left over 30 years. I put over 30 years into it, and now I got other things that I really want to focus on, and I don't think I can, you know, just fit all of that into my circle.
Okay,
but I'm still HBCU, and I love it.
All right, last question. Goat Fuel, how's everything progressing there? And you guys have that great energy drink. I'm still supporting you guys here. You see my Goat Fuel hat.
Yeah,
So,
I appreciate you, man.
yeah. So talk about that before we get off.
This is Go Field, the greatest of all time. I think the thing is, man, and I wanted this to be for everyone. Anyone that's inspired to be great on that given day. Anyone that that's out there and giving it 100%. And the concept Goatfield, it's the greatest of all time, but it could be an entrepreneur, it could be a frontline worker, it could be a doctor, lawyer, it could be what you're doing. Anyone that's that want to be great, and we're doing great. We're doing fantastic. We're expanding. We're growing. My daughter, she's the CEO, and I just try to stay out of her way and let her just get it done. But this is it's a difficult task, but it keeps me up at night. But it challenged me, and I think it was the same way in football. It kept me up at night. It challenged me, but it brought out the best in me, and that's what I'm doing with Go Field.
Well, I appreciate you always, Jerry, and it's good to talk with you once again. But thank you for everything, and on the behalf of the NFL FedEx Player, Air, and Ground Player of the Week, we're going to get some more of those wide receivers in there, right?
All right. Sounds good, brother. You have a good one, all right?
All right. That's Jerry Rice. I'm Kyle T. Mosley. Thank you very much, Jerry. Take care.
All right, take care.
All right, guys. That was Mr. Jerry Rice, the GOAT. All right. You heard a lot about Jerry. Jerry, a couple of seasons ago, he thought about getting into coaching. He kind of crawfished now there, Will. He saw all that stress Coach Prime was having.
No, he did. I think that, obviously you was trying to bait him and to see if he was going to answer that question and get back into coaching. But I think that more than anything, he probably looks at it from a standpoint. I mean, and obviously I'm giving him the credit that he said that he's going to always support HBCUs, and I definitely believe that. But it's a testament to the fact that coaching isn't for everybody. Just because you were a great player does not necessarily mean that you will be a great coach. I don't doubt that he wouldn't be a great coach, but I think that there is a certain level of patience, there is a certain level of discipline, there is a certain level of want to and teaching that you have to really want to put in players anywhere between 18 years old to now with the portal and all these 4-year, 5-year, 6-year players. You're talking about people that might be 23, 24 years old looking to play college football that may or may not want to listen. Lots of different personalities. And it's like, if you're not prepared for that, then this might not be what you need to do. Not only that, but it also depends on, all these different backgrounds where these players are coming from. If you're not prepared for that, because you're not just going to be a coach. You're not just teaching them about X's and O's. You're still preparing them for life, where at least most good coaches are doing that. So, I mean, to his point, I think that for him, he looks at it from a standpoint of, I love my HBCU. I love Mississippi Valley. I love what Deion, I love what Eddie George is doing, but coaching is just not, at this time, it's just not for him. And you have to respect it.
Yeah. Kim, we kind of ran into a similar situation. We talked about two coaches that we respect highly here in the Houston area, Coach Bubba McDowell as well as Coach Chris Dishman. But you see the wear and tear that losing can have on a coach as well, especially a coach that has high goals and high aspirations for his program. How do these guys manage through that? And you've been able to talk to these guys one-on-one. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think anybody that cares about what they do, right? Losing is going to wear and tear on you. If you're a competitor, what you do is you try to win. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in the game. So one, I can respect where Jerry Rice is. It's not even so much that you're not, and I like what Wilson said, but being prepared for it. It's just not, it's not your path, right? Mm-hmm. It's not, there are other ways that you can say, you know what, I can be helpful in this way. This is where I can pour into it because I've given what I want to give in terms of being on the field. But I think the other thing too is as the game changes, so do the players. right? It's such a different day now with NIL, with the portal, with social media, with just kind of the mindset. And that's not a knock on young players. It's just a reality of it's a different day and a different group. And so you've got to really want to do that. You know, I see guys like, talking to Chris Dishman, like he really cares about those young men. Yeah, he wants to win, but he wants to see them win as whole people. And so you hear him talk a lot about mindset, about, you know what, one of the things we have to change is culture. And that's a word people toss around a lot in sports. But you say, okay, when you say culture, I always ask when someone says, what do you mean by culture? You got to believe you can win. You got to believe you deserve to be here. And when you've not had that, when you've been in a program that's had so much losing, it takes a while before you to flip it where you can get them to believe, no, it's the third quarter. We should be here. It's the fourth quarter. We can do this. And that takes more than just what happens on the field. It takes really the whole athletic department. And I think that's what sometimes people outside don't realize. The coach can do somewhat, but it's a mindset of winning that has to happen, has to permeate throughout entire departments. And that's why I think it makes it difficult. So it's interesting times.
Yeah. And Keisha, what's your take? Because I looked at the opportunity that Terrence Graves has taken a hold of over at Southern University. He's really embraced this, and you can see the passion that is there, and he's always been a caring guy.
So I think, kind of going back to the same things you were saying, I think at the time when you were talking about coaching, when you were talking about, Jerry Rice coming in and talking about coaching, it was at the height of Prime, at the time, Prime, Eddie George, everybody at the same time. So it puts the pressure on. Personally, I'm glad he knows that if that's not his lane, that he didn't give in and succumb to the pressure, because we know if he failed, now you're going to have to put up with all of the stuff that comes with failing. True. And so it's good for him to acknowledge, hey, I put 30 years into this. There are, like Kim said, there's other ways that I can make an impact. I don't have to be a coach. And sometimes that's what people think. And so what happened was when Prime came around, everybody just started looking at every coach, Ed Reed, every coach that had played in the NFL that they thought could coach was like, hey, and like Wilton said, just because you're a good player, that doesn't necessarily translate over to being a great coach. In the case of Terrence Graves now, he's a very likable guy. Very, very likable person. But, we know how our schools are. We know how our fans are. We know how our alumni is. And so people can like you until they don't like you. And so when they'll like you until they start seeing a pattern of not winning. And so when you're losing back to back to back, then the whispers get louder and louder. And it's not just to the coach, it's going across the board. So, it has to be changes made. People can like you all day long, but if you're not getting the job done, those likes will turn into hate real quick.
Well, Keisha, I kind of take exception to that because it sounds like you had a conversation with my wife about not winning. So we'll talk a little bit about that later. Guys, we'll be back at 2 and 2.
This is it. Our last night sharing a room. Tomorrow we'll be in our new home.
They told you buying a home would take years, but didn't help you start. Still, you kept trying.
You'll have a yard to play in, a place to dream.
Hope makes it happen. With Tailored Mortgage Solutions, Hope Credit Union makes homeownership happen for thousands of people, regardless of income or credit. Brighter futures begin with hope.
Is that your new Nissan Rogue?
Yeah, crazy story. So this morning, I'm at the Nissan Thrill of Summer sales event, taking a test drive. When Dave, the sales guy, is like, you're gonna love this. He shows me the best-in-class fuel economy and lets me know it's recommended by Consumer Reports. When Dave says, these cars are going fast, I knew I had to have that Rogue.
Nissan offers 6 vehicles starting under $30,000, like Rogue, with 2.9% financing for 60 months.
Hey, sweet new gear. It's like Best Buy hooked you guys up.
Pretty sick, right?
What is that?
That's our traveling trophy. Oh, that's what's up, man.
Ah, a goat for the goats. Fits these pro-level setups.
Last year's trophy.
Not a GOAT.
Nope.
What if you could get all the latest and greatest gaming gear from one place?
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit. Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio. That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
Come to McDonald's and treat yourself to the Grandma McFlurry today.
All right, we are back with the Black Sports Insiders, and we have a great conversation that Kim had with Calvin Murphy, the great NBA legend. How was that? Just to talk to Calvin is always interesting.
Yeah, it always is. In fact, I just carved out a little piece of it that we're going to play today, but I went and we ended up talking for, I probably have 4 interviews, but the piece we're going to hear today is really, I'm talking to him about what he thinks about where the NBA game is today. But when I got there to do the interview, he has this organization called Marching Thunder of young people that he has been working with. And so NBA TV was there, ESPN. So I actually did a piece of the interview that I can send you later, where we were talking about Marching Thunder. It'll be 50 years that he's run this organization with these young people in April or May of 2025, and he's still going strong. He's got a young woman who is getting a full scholarship to the University of Houston as a twirler. So it's not just about, the drum line and batons, but he talks about it from an educational standpoint. So we ended up spending like 10 minutes talking about Marching Thunder before we actually got to talk about basketball. But it's always great talking to Calvin. He's going to tell you what he really thinks.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't hold back. So let's take a listen to the conversation that Kim Davis had with Calvin Murphy.
You have Marching Thunder basketball. How many years for you have you been a part of the Rockets organization?
56.
56 years.
Coming up, 56 this year.
So all you know is Rockets.
Yeah,
I first want to ask you just about the evolution of the game, right? Like, we know it's cyclical. It used to be inside out, the big man mattered. Then it was all about the perimeter and the 3. Tell me about the evolution of the game and where it is today.
I don't like it. First of all, I'm going to tell you why I don't like it. It is no longer a sport, it's a business. And they're making rules and regulations governed on dollars and cents. Who am I to criticize? I mean, the NBA has gone to another level financially. I mean, with this TV contract, these players are making the money. One player is making more money than the whole league made when I played. But so the game has been governed by what the public wants to see. They want to see entertainment opposed. And I grew up with the competitive part of the game.
Right.
But they would rather see a fantastic dunk and a Curry 3-point shot than see the purity of the game, the passing, the middle distance game, the inside out. When you start having 7'5" guys shooting threes, now the game has gotten to the point where it's a money-making show opposed to a purity of a sport. I got a problem with that.
Yeah, I think people who have watched the game over the years probably feel similarly in terms of there's not really the plays developing. I mean, you may see that on the women's game.
Well, that's a good point that you just brought up there. I like college and the WNBA better than I do the NBA now because you see purity in the game itself. They got middle distance. You can sit there and watch them set up the offense and run through. You see the defenses that are being set up there that are trying to stop the Kaylee Clarks now and things of this nature. So that's the kind of game that I grew up under.
Yeah.
That type of thing. And in college, they still, of course, it's still a coach's game where he controls things of that nature. But yet, when it goes out on the floor, you're recognizing the sport.
So let's talk about where the game is today. The teams that they're leading and have a chance to win. In particular, let's talk about where this Rockets team is. They made a big leap last year. What do you think we can expect from what you know? We haven't even had camp yet. From what you know about this Rockets team.
Well, first of all, I was very elated with their draft choice. Shepard shoots the ball like during my era. We got a lot of scorers in the game today, but we have very few pure shooters. Mm-hmm. Shepard's a pure shooter. Unfortunately for him, he's got to wait his turn, being a guard or whatever. I've always advocated that we needed the Rockets. I still say we because I've been there 56 years now. They needed someone that's a rim protector. That's the thing that bothers me in late in games where teams don't have any fear taking the ball to the basket against us. But, if you have someone that, a center today only blocks, 3-4 shots, but it's about him, the intimidating factor where guys don't want that shot to be theirs that is blocked. So you only block 4 shots, but you change another 15 just by the reputation of having somebody that can protect that basket. So and this is Calvin Murphy speaking now.
Right.
I'm not part of the coaching staff. This is just from my years of understanding the game, what I would love to see. Now, I think the Rockets have done a fantastic job mixing and matching and getting talent together. Obviously, at the end of last year, they came on and everybody started doing the dirty work and everybody started sharing the ball. Everybody started believing. But when you start looking at things realistically, to compete in the West, you've got to, your defense has got to lead you. I've always believed, because my game was offensive, and I always thought that, you can outscore people.
Right.
But now when you got everybody that can score, and the game is a faster game up and down the floor, you've got to have somebody to deter some of that offensive thrust that comes at you. Now, when you look at it underneath, Alfie just amazes me. I tease him a lot. I love him to death, but I tease him about his 2-inch vertical.
Right.
And he's always talking about, Murph, you're lucky you're not out here me dunking on you. But the fact of the matter is, he's a fantastic talent, and he's just going to get better and better and better. But he's still not a rim protector. He plays good defense, but he's still not a rim protector. The rim protectors I'm talking about, of course, is I played with Moses Malone. I played with Elvin Hayes. I played against Wilt Chamberlain. I played against Jabbar. I played against Bob Lanier and Nate Thurman, where, and Willis Reed from the, where if you didn't have a jump shot, you didn't score because you went to the basket.
It was over.
Yeah, another quick story. I'm from Connecticut, 40 minutes from the old Madison Square Garden. So my rookie year, we had 25, 30 busloads of hometown people come to see me play my first NBA game in the Garden, right? So, of course, I'm sky high, whatever. And I actually tried to dunk on Willis Reed. Yes, I came down one time on a break, and I went to dunk on Willis, and he fouled me, and Willis said to me, "Something wrong with you, young man? Don't bring that in here. If you score 50 from the outside, cool in the game. But you come in here and try to score on me, you must be out your mind." You know me, old cocky Calvin Murphy.
Yeah.
I'm saying, get out of here. So in the third quarter, I'm going to try it again. I come baseline, I go up to dunk. The lights went out in Georgia. And when I woke up, I became the best jump shooter in the NBA because I said, I understand now.
You're like, I get it.
Yeah, I get it. Because big men have their pride, no matter who. And Willis Reed and I were great friends. But ain't nothing personal. His
You're not coming in here.
Yeah, his wife and kids are up in the stands watching, as he says, some short individual coming in and trying to dunk on him. During that time, they called us midgets. Like, trying to dunk on him. He couldn't have that. So when I woke up, when my trainer got me with the smelling salts, I became the best jump shooter in the game. But that's the way the game was played when I was, during my stint in the league. You understood everybody had pride within themselves. So the big men protected that area.
Yeah.
So if you went and did something of that nature, you got hell to pay.
That's Calvin Murphy, and he that was a great story. Guys, we will be back shortly, and we'll wrap up the show. But Calvin Murphy, if you guys don't know, you got to look at his body of work as a whole. He's doing some announcing for the Houston Rockets as well. But Calvin Murphy is a great person and one of the legends in the game. We'll be back.
When I push, I feel good. When I push, I feel good. When I push. You better move. I feel good. When I pull, I feel good. When I push. When I push, I feel good. When I pull, I feel good. When I When I push, I feel good. When I pull, I feel good.
Something amazing is happening here. Climate researchers are weathering a data storm. That's because CDW transformed their devices and infrastructure with Lenovo ThinkPads and powerful edge-to-cloud solutions, delivering faster insights and increased performance, giving them the scale to stay ready for whatever's next. Make amazing happen. Lenovo and CDW.
Siri, what's the name of the guy I had a meeting with a couple of months ago at Cafe Grinnell?
You met Zach Wingate at Cafe Grinnell.
Hey!
Zach!
Oh, wow, I didn't think you'd remember me.
Yeah, of course. As soon as I saw you, I'm like, it's Zach. Nobody walks like Zach.
I am genius.
Something amazing is happening here. Climate researchers are weathering a data storm. That's because CDW transformed their devices and infrastructure with Lenovo ThinkPads and powerful edge-to-cloud solutions, delivering faster insights and increased performance, giving them the scale to stay ready for whatever's next. Make amazing happen. Lenovo and CDW.
No charger?
It's a Mac. The battery lasts all day. See you next week.
All right, County Mosley back with the Black Sports Insiders, guys. Kim, that conversation with Calvin, very interesting, man. I wish I would have been a fly on the gymnasium floor just to be able to listen to all the stories that he has.
Yeah, well, he has a lot of stories, but I thought it was interesting that right off the bat when I said, so, what do you think of, where the game is today? And he starts with, I don't like it. Okay, then, and like I say, you're going to always get from him what he really thinks. And he made it clear, like, I'm speaking for me. This is not the Rockets talking. And then he did get into some things he liked, but he is old school, right? And he liked the inside out game and where the big man mattered, but it is cyclical, right? Remember, there was a time when if you didn't have a strong post player, you couldn't be successful in the game. And then, of course, it became an outside game. And if you didn't have guys that could shoot the three, and now you've got big guys, they pull them out of the perimeter. So, I cover the Rockets and going to training camp. I mean, I can't believe that they had a preseason game last night. They beat up on your Pelicans. It's preseason, doesn't really matter. They'll play the Spurs tomorrow night, and then the season starts next week. But, talking to like a Jabari Smith Jr., who is, really working on his three-point shot, right? He's a post player, but he wants to play down low on the post. So the way the game has changed over the years, it's really interesting to see what it takes. But you still do need a rim protector. So I'll be curious to see how this Rockets team kind of comes together this year, builds on what they did last year, especially in a division with Victor Wembanyama. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Another year under his belt, and that young man, it's going to be great to see how he's progressing. And we have a lean, mean monster dunking machine in Zion Williamson. And I can't wait to see how the young man just broke down in Big Easy. Will, man, you love NBA a lot. And do you think the Warriors have a chance to rebound?
I think they have a chance to rebound. I don't put them in the finals this year. I think that the conference is just too tough with the teams. You're talking about a Denver team that's going to come back locked and loaded. You're talking about a Suns team that still hasn't met its standard of where it wants to be. You're talking about, you're talking about the Clippers. You're talking about, of course, there's LeBron and the Lakers, even though I don't expect them to go very far. Kudos to LeBron getting his son and Bronny and what they've been able to do on the court, even just in these first preseason games. It's special. I don't have them going very far in terms of winning a championship of anything of that sort. And then you have some other teams that are looking to solidify their place back into the Western Conference. Like you talk about a Memphis team and Ja Morant and what Zach. People forget just a couple of years ago, you're talking about Memphis was top 3, top 4, top 5 team, and then of course Minnesota isn't going anywhere.
And Dallas, don't forget about Dallas.
Exactly, and Dallas. So it's just like it's just too tough. I think that at best they are a play-in team right now, maybe first round. But as far as like competing for a finals and getting to the championship, I think that part of the Warriors franchise is done for now.
I think the West is still really loaded, with the Thunder. I think the Rockets get to the playoffs. I don't know, if they are playing where they get. I definitely think they get the postseason this year. But the West is really loaded. And then you look at what happened with the East and the move that the Knicks made, right? Yep. How that kind of changes things and makes Boston go, oh, wait a minute, hold up. So long season ahead. Haven't even had the first real game yet, but it should be interesting.
Keisha, how will the Hawks answer all the movement that's been happening?
Well, it's the Hawks. The funny thing is Wilson said he doesn't think LA will go far. That's how I always see the Hawks. I hate to say it, but I hate to see teams on the surface where they start out playing so well and somewhere in there something happens and there's a disconnect and then everything just goes downhill. It's always the same with the Hawks. Maybe first, maybe second round or first couple of games, and then it just falls off. So I never look at it as they're going to get too far. I never do. I mean, I like the Hawks, but I never see them getting far. I just don't.
Yeah. Sound like the New Orleans Saints. So anyway.
We're not going to do that, Kyle.
Oh, well, I've got to be for real about this one. Tomorrow night, Sean Payton is coming back to the Superdome. And he's bringing Bo Nix with him in tow. But we got Drew Brees. He's going to be part of the Ring of Honor in the Superdome. He's just been inducted into the New Orleans Saints Hall of Fame. Congratulations to Drew. But the fans are ready for Sean, but they would have been really ready for the Sean if they didn't have the injuries that have been mounting left and right. Well, right now the Saints don't have Chris Olave. They don't have Rashid Shaheed, and Shaheed may miss the rest of the season. How can the Saints really put a competitive team against the Denver Broncos on Thursday night?
I think it starts with the one thing that everybody has started to place on New Orleans over the last couple of years, but specifically this season for sure, is defense. The defense is going to be the determining factor. They're going to have to bring all types of havoc on Bo Nix, a quarterback, putting pressure on him and slowing him down, and hope that the play from Spencer Rattler, the first half of Spencer Rattler that we saw last week, will be what we see throughout that entire game against Denver. I think if they do that, they can win this game against a Denver team that's not as strong right now, but obviously they're going to be looking to get stronger throughout the season.
Yeah.
That's been a complaint, though. Defense has been a complaint for like 10 years now. Yeah. We've been complaining about defense with the Saints for years. So, yeah. Okay.
So the past few years, they've been pretty good. And I have to give them some kudos on that. But I think the defense has been aging as well. You look at Cam Jordan, who's now coming off the bench. And Demario Davis looks like he's lost a step here and there. Last week, Tyrann Mathieu was injured. And it just looks like a calamity of more and more injuries, especially to the older players, are mounting, as well as to some of the key younger players. So hopefully they could be able to pull off the Mission Impossible on tomorrow night. But it's going to be tough. But you talked about the play from Spencer Rattler. Kim, we're starting to see these young black quarterbacks who are getting their opportunities like CJ Stroud did last season. And they're not just getting the opportunities, they are winning with these opportunities. And we spoke a little bit about that over the past few weeks. I just want to get from you just briefly why you think we're going to see more and more of this, because you got some young guys like Shedeur Sanders and the young man from Miami that's coming out next season as well.
Well, I think it all comes down to, and I think what happened with CJ Stroud, and we see what's happening with Jaden Daniels and what he has that Commanders team doing. It really has to do with getting with the right team, with the right
system,
resources, the right system, and the right coaches. You know, we don't really know what Bryce Young is going to be because he went to a really awful Carolina program, right? They're just bad all the way around. And so, you know, it makes a difference, you know. And so what it also does is it puts pressure on people coming out, because this year it was, will they be as good as CJ Stroud? And so next year you're going to hear, are they going to do what Jaden Daniels did? And teams want these young quarterbacks to be successful. They want to build and win while they have them on those rookie contracts. It always comes back to the money. Mm-hmm. So if they can put the right systems, coaches in place, and the people around them, yeah, because it's not a question of whether they can play, but you just can't come out of college and just have lots of mad skills and go to an organization that's not ready for you. So I think that's what it's going to come down to.
Definitely. In the final minutes here, Wilton and Keisha, this is for you. Let's talk about HBCU football. And there's a big one down in Jackson, Mississippi, Wilton. I know you'll be there front and center to see Florida A&M take on Jackson State. These two guys are the two powerhouses of black college football, in my opinion, as well as NCCU. And all three of those guys are ranked in the FCS. What's going to happen on Saturday that a lot of people need to be tuning in to ESPNU to check this out?
Keisha, you want to go first?
No, that's fine. He said Jackson State and FAMU. So you can go first. I'm going to talk about Southern. You can talk about your school.
Okay, I will go ahead. So I think, Cal, when you look at this game, obviously this in the last couple of years, this has been one of the games that has decided who was going to win the SWAC East, and obviously FAMU has went on to win the SWAC championship. But I think on Saturday, this game specifically this year is going to come down to which team is going to be able to control the line of scrimmage up front. And I think if you are FAMU, you definitely want to make sure if you're FAMU, you want to be able to protect Daniel Richardson, because I can guarantee you that TC Taylor and that defense from Jackson State is probably going to be dialing up pressure from off the edge and up front to essentially try to slow him down some. And I think this is going to be a FAMU team that's going to be required to run the ball more. I think this year they've it's not saying they haven't ran the ball, but I think they're going to be required to run the ball a little bit more, because I think some of the plays that Daniel Richardson has been able to do, obviously passing from the pocket and or extending plays with his legs off to the edges, I think that might be limited a little bit. And I think if you're Jackson State, if it was ever a time that you truly needed to be able to run the ball, it would be this Saturday, because obviously the Rattlers haven't been as strong in stopping the run. But as far as like in the secondary, I think it could pose some challenges for Jacobian Morgan and Jackson State. Not saying he won't have a good game, because I think he will, but I think that if it was ever a time where we've seen in numerous weeks where Jackson State's running game has played a big factor, this will be a big factor in them being able to run the ball. And I think the last thing will be special teams on both parts. Both teams have great punters. Both teams have great specialists. They can return punts and or kicks for touchdowns. Obviously, we've seen Jamar Gassett do it for FAMU, and we've also seen Travis Terrell do it for Jackson State. So it's going to be a good game. But like I said, I think it solely comes down to which team is able to get pressure on opposing quarterbacks, which team is able to stop the run, and who's able to run the ball.
All right. It's going to be a major clash of the Titans between the two top teams in the SWAC East, this could be the deciding factor of that tilt. What's going to happen between the Tigers of Jackson State against the Rattlers of Florida A&M University? I'm Kyle T. Mosley of Black Sports Insiders. Check us out at blacksportsinsiders.com, or you can also go to hbculegends.net and follow all of the HBCU content that we have on our Sports Illustrated site. Thank you very much for following us this weekend. Remember, sharing is caring, and always be tenacious. Thank you. Take care.